Okay, so we've got the clutch assembly. This is actually the original flywheel, and it's completely different from most clutch assemblies, because most clutch assemblies have a pressure plate that's bolted onto the back, a flywheel that's bolted onto the back of the engine, and then your clutch lining, and then your pressure plate clamps up against that and bolts onto the flywheel, and then your gearbox goes through. Well, this is completely different. And I don't know how they come up with this idea, but for some reason they decided that what we're going to do, we're going to bolt the pressure plate to the engine like so. That bolts onto the engine. Now we're going to put the clutch plate on, and then we're going to put this piece here goes on here against the fingers, and then on the input shaft that comes through this pressure plate, there's a pin that's on the gearbox, and when you actuate the lever, it pushes this pin out straight through the centre of the input shaft, pushes on this plate here, which pushes on these fingers, which releases this pressure plate, which allows your clutch to spin freely. So that's when you disengage it. Okay, so there's a few things that we need to do before we start here. This is a brand new pressure plate, brand new clutch plate, brand new thrust or pressure disc, and this has been machined. So you do have to make sure that you do machine if you're not replaced. This flywheel here was really badly pitted because this whole clutch had burnt out, and it had what we call tortoise shelling, so it was that blue that there was big high and low points. So I got machinists to machine this out, and what they do when they finish machining, they leave a film of oil, a very fine machine oil on here, and it stops corrosion. So we need to actually get that off before it burns itself into the lining of the plates and ruins them for life, basically. So what we've got to do is just get again either some brake cleaner, or I use engine degreaser, and spray it into your rag, because you don't want to get anything else but the pressure plate, and just wipe around the surface here. So it's nice and clean. Same within here. And that'll clean all the thin film of oil off, and then just wipe it dry. And the same for the same with this here. We'll give it a little bit of a squirt on the around the lining. And we'll give that a bit of a wipe off. And that ensures that you've pretty much got everything clean, ready to burn, basically, because it slips as soon as you start disengaging anyway. Okay, so we've got a little container of grease here, and what you do is you put it on here, on this face, and we'll do that once it's actually in place and locked in with the ring there. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. So what we've got to do now is put the pressure plate up bolted up to the flywheel. So I'm just going to climb in here and do that in a second. Yep. Okay, so with these bolts that bolt the flywheel on, they're covered in oil, so we need to degrease these, and then we need to apply some Loctite. I'm using a medium thread locker, which is Loctite 290, and that will actually, once it activates, it'll stop them coming loose. I'm just going to wipe these all individually, get them nice and clean. The trick is with Loctite is don't put too much on. I'll show you in a minute how much really you need. You can see that these used to have Loctite on them because it's got the little blue ring around the bolts. there's one missing, Zach. You must have it up there somewhere. Alright, so if you have a look here, you can, I don't know if you can see it, but these two bolts here are actually closer together than the other four, and the two close ones here on the left hand side here. And this little plate only goes one way, so I've just figured that out which way it goes so that you can line it up. So what we'll do is we'll put it on here first. Slide it into position, line it up with your screw holes, bolt holes, put your retaining ring on, make sure your bolt holes line up, and then what we're going to do is get the Loctite and just apply a little bit of Loctite down the thread. Not too much, that's the wire. So now you can share it amongst its rings, like so. Make sure you do them up diagonally, and don't do them up tight because we want to torque these up. But you can just nip them up. First torque setting we've got to torque these up to is 44 foot-pounds. Watch I'll do with a torque wrench in a minute. I've got a torque wrench already set. But what we've got to do is we've got to stop the engine rotating around while we're doing that. And I'm just going to do that in a second. Going to need a screwdriver for that. What was that?
Grease.
Grease. Right, so this disc here slots in so like so, and then this spring hooks on the little one first, goes up round the outside first, hook it in like so. Just make sure it's seated in properly. Okay, that's all nice and seated. Okay, now we get our grease. Now we put our grease in here. So now we get our, what we need to do first is check to see crankshaft position on the front. Yep. Okay, so I'm just going to clean these bolts here. Hold the flywheel on. Now these little bolts here, they need a 9mm double hex socket on those to help to bolt them in, and they're torqued up to 15 foot-pounds. So in the meantime, what we do is around the edges of this pressure plate, when we rotate it round, there's there's one dowel hole over here, right there. Now this eliminates you from mucking it up, because there's a one dowel on this flywheel here, and that lines up into that slot. So this disc here goes to the back, so don't make sure that you've got, it says flywheel side to the back, which goes to this side. This is the flywheel, not this. Okay, if you put it around the wrong way, this boss here is going to touch here, and you won't be able to get any drive. It won't actually disengage. You won't even be able to get the gearbox in. So it's got to sit nice and flush like so, so that it's touching. So I'll just sit that in there like that. I'll roughly guide my line of my dowel over here to about 9 o'clock, and it lines up with these two bolts here. So these two bolts below my hand are the ones I'm trying to line up here. So I'll try and do that now. Pretty sure that's it. So I'll just try and see if I can get a bolt started. Nine mil double hex. Start at one side and then go to the opposite. Clutch plate's still loose, as you can see here. I'm just getting all the bolts started at the moment. It should all line up once I've got all these bolts going. But we do need to line up the clutch to make sure that it's central. Well, the good news is all of these bolts seem to be lining up and starting, which is a good sign that we've got everything right. Okay, so now we're just getting our 3/8 ratchet. That's still loose, so we're just going to go start it here, four turns until it starts, and then go to the ones at the bottom here so they go tight. Okay, that started to bind up now, so I'll back it off a little bit. Okay, so that's actually good. That's actually just right now, so what we've got to do is we've got to line this clutch up. So what we're going to do is get a pair of verniers and measure the distance between these flats and all four corners and get it perfect. So I'll just grab my verniers and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got my digital verniers here. I'll just zero them. Okay, so what I'm meaning is get the verniers under your locking mechanism and open it out. See what you've got. I've got 10.5 mil or 10.24. Over here that's really loose. Over here there's not enough, so I need to tap the clutch up that way. So I've got about 10 there. Needs to go up a little bit this way. Need to get a bit more closed in over here. It's about 10, it's about 12, a bit more. It's going to come down a fraction. Okay, so I'll open this up, I'll do another mil roughly. 10.8. It's a bit loose there. Tight there. A bit loose there. So it's almost there. Just got to get a little bit of movement. That's nice. That's pretty good. I'll open it up a fraction more to about 11 mil. It's about 11 there. I reckon that's pretty good. It's pretty central. And if I look down through the centre, where the input shaft goes in, that's lined up good. I've got a nice even gap around, right around the circumference here. But that's the closest you'll get by eye. And roughly, I mean, it's within half a mil. As soon as you line it up, it'll line up. So now what we've got to do is we'll get these loose ones done up. So we've still got to go. We'll take up the slack on here. There's a couple of loose ones here. Take out the loose ones. Okay, so now I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Tighten up these loose ones. 1, 2, 3, 4. Tighten up these loose ones. So I'm going at pretty much 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, so I'm going diagonally across until I'm pulling them all up evenly. Now, and the reason I'm counting to 4 is I'm just doing quarter turns. So basically it's going in one turn at a time. So 1, 2. Okay, that's quite tight, so that's actually almost bottomed out, I'd say. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we just want to get them all buttered up so that you can feel them all have actually based out. So you don't want to start applying torque too much just yet. You'll know what I mean by when you feel it's not actually going anywhere anymore, so it's not pulling in anymore. Okay, so they're all buttered up now. So now we've got to adjust our torque wrench to 15 foot-pounds. A trusty old snap-on torque wrench. Okay, 15. And then tighten them up, so basically till it clicks. Like that. And go to opposite. And then opposite again. So we did this one before, this one, and then go to this one over here. And then across. And then up to here. And then down to this one. Across to this one. That's done. It's done. It's done. Centre ones now. Double check the centres. Try the top ones on each section. Skip one to this one. The bottom one for each one now. And then we're going to go all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right, we know they're all perfectly torqued up, and that's beautiful. Okay, so that's pretty much the clutch in. So now it's time to get the gearbox. And we're going to get the gearbox sorted out, but we've got to set up the engine stand and everything, because the whole engine has slidden forward. So we've got to sort that out, but that's fine, we'll do that in another. Alright, thanks for tuning in, people, and hope everyone's learnt something today. And yeah, good luck with your job. Hope it all works out good for you. Cheers.